Northeast Tonight, brought to you by Oil India Limited, conquering newer horizons.
Hello and welcome to Northeast Tonight, the show that decodes the region. Prime Minister Narendra Modi declared at his rally in Kokrajhar yesterday that it was the largest public rally that he has ever addressed and said he was privileged to be a part of the Bodo Accord celebrations with the masses. Obviously, the gathering comprised not just Bodos, but people from different communities loosely called non-Bodos who cohabit in the Bodo heartland. The accord has certainly brought the curtains down on insurgency, but the question already being asked is whether it has enough provisions to take care of the interest of other communities aside from Bodos who live in the Bodoland territorial region. While Kokrajhar MP Naba Sarania, who happens to be a non-Bodo, has already expressed his concerns about the interest of non-Bodos before the Prime Minister, after receiving him at the Guwahati airport during his visit yesterday, people who have put their signatures on the accord, including All Bodo Students Union President Pramod Boro and Bodo Council Chief Haglama Mohilari, made it a point during yesterday's rally to say that the accord will take care of the interest of all those who live in the Bodo Council area. Even the Prime Minister said everyone, Bodos and non-Bodos, will benefit from the accord, describing it a victory for all in the BTR. Before we begin the discussions, let us listen in to what Prime Minister Modi and two top Bodo leaders said about the inclusive nature of the accord.
इस अकॉर्ड का लाभ बोडो जनजाति के साथियों के साथ ही दूसरे समाज के लोगों को भी होगा, क्योंकि इस समझौते के तहत बोडो टेरिटोरियल काउंसिल के अधिकारों का दायरा बढ़ाया गया है, अधिक सशक्त किया गया है। इस समझौते में सभी की जीत हुई है और सबसे बड़ी बात है शांति की जीत हुई है, मानवता की जीत हुई है।
এই শক্তিৰ দ্বাৰা দি অকল বড়সকল নহয়, এই শক্তিৰ দ্বাৰা দি বিটিসি অঞ্চলত যিমান জাতি জনগোষ্ঠী আছে কোনো চিন্তা কৰিব লগা নাই। বেংগলী হওক কোনো চিন্তা কৰিব লগা নাই, মুছলিম হওক, গাৰো হওক, ৰাভা হওক, আদিবাসী হওক, হিন্দীভাষী হওক, সবে আমার বিটিসির বাসী রাইজ আমি আগত যেনেকৈ আছে ভবিষ্যতেও আমি একেলগে থাকি পেলাই এই বিটিসিৰ উন্নতিৰ কাৰণে আমি কাম কৰি যাম। কোনো ভয় কৰিব লগা নাই। এই শক্তি অকল বড়সকলৰ কাৰণে নহয়, সকলো জাতি জনগোষ্ঠীৰ কাৰণে এই শক্তিটো সমানে অৱদান দিব, সমানে আমি উন্নতি হ'ব। যিকোনো জাতিৰ কোনো ল্যাঙ্গুৱেজ কোনো কালচাৰ ডিপ্ৰাইভ নহ'ব, সকলো একেলগে আমি কাম কৰি যাম।
ये एकॉर्ड में आपने सिर्फ बोडो लोगों के लिए नहीं किए हैं सर, हमारे साथ रहने वाले आदिवासी भाइयों के लिए, गोरखा भाइयों के लिए, असमीज भाइयों के लिए, जितने भी समुदाय यहाँ रहते हैं सभी को इस एकॉर्ड में कुछ ना कुछ आपने दिया है।
All right, but meanwhile, Kokrajhar MP Naba Sarania also aired his concerns surrounding the accord. Particularly, he said that non-tribals or non-Bodos' interest also needs to be protected. Let's listen in to what Naba Sarania, the Kokrajhar MP, had said after meeting Prime Minister during the reception at Borjhar Airport yesterday.
যে আজি বড়ো মুভমেণ্টটো যি ধৰণে চৰকাৰী সুযোগ সুবিধা বা হেৰিখিনি পাই কেনে তেওঁলোকে ইমানখিনিলৈ আহিলে, তেনেকুৱা ক্ষেত্ৰত আমাক কোনো সেনেকুৱা দৰকাৰ নাই, কিন্তু এটলিষ্ট নিৰপেক্ষভাৱে যদি আমাৰ বিষয়খিনি আলোচনা হয় তেতিয়াহ'লে আমি ভাবোঁ নিশ্চিতভাৱে আমাৰ ৰাইজৰ কাৰণে ভাল হ'ব। মন্ত্ৰীৰ কথাখিনি এইখিনিয়ে, প্ৰধানমন্ত্ৰীয়ে আমি কথাখিনি অৱগত কৰিলোঁ আৰু দিল্লীতো হয়তো তেওঁলোকে আমাক মানে আমন্ত্ৰণ জনোৱা তেওঁ স্পেচিয়েলি কথাখিনি পাতিব। মই ভাবোঁ যদি মই এবাৰ প্ৰধানমন্ত্ৰীক ভালকৈ প্ৰেজেণ্টেশ্যন দিয়া সুবিধাখিনি পাওঁ, কাৰণ কথা আগ্ৰহ বা প্ৰচেষ্টাখিনি আছে যে কোকৰাঝাৰৰ বিষয়খিনি বিশেষকৈ বিটিচিৰ বিষয়খিনি আমাৰ বিভিন্ন জাতি জনগোষ্ঠী যিখিনি বিষয় মই ভাবোঁ এইবাৰ ভাৰত চৰকাৰে আগ্ৰহ প্ৰকাশ কৰিছে সেইকাৰণে আমাৰ 12 তাৰিখৰ কথাত প্ৰথম হ'ল আমাৰ সংগঠনবিলাক আহিব আৰু লগতে অসম চৰকাৰৰ যিখিনি বিষয় ইয়াত যিখিনি পাতিব লগা বিষয় সেইখিনি আমি ইয়াতে শেষ কৰি আমি দিল্লীলৈকে যোৱাৰ কাৰণে আমাৰটো এজেণ্ডা এটা আমি ক্লিয়াৰ কৰিলোঁ
All right, to discuss if things are as easy as the leaders are saying and the key challenges before the leaders now that a comprehensive pact is reached, I have with me a key facilitator of the Bodo Accord from Kokrajhar, Rajkumar Prithviraj Narayan Dev Mach, a Bodo royal, 19th descendant of Bodo King Chikrames. I also have Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta, professor at Guwahati University, former Ulfa leader, now a writer and commentator. Mr. Sunil Nath is with me in the studios, as also Arunav Goswami, assistant director at the Center for Development and Peace Studies, a Guwahati-based think tank. First, let me go straight to Kokrajhar, where I have Rajkumar Prithviraj Narayan Dev Mess. Rajkumar Prithviraj Narayan Dev Mess has been one of the key facilitators of the Bodo Accord. He along with several others, including his colleague Tulunga Basumatari, had flown into Myanmar to held direct talks with the NDFB Suragra faction leaders and have driven into India from Myanmar along with the AS leaders. So he has been a key facilitator. Prithviraj, once again, welcome to Northeast Tonight.
Lots of thanks for inviting me again in your esteemed show.
Welcome. Prithviraj, you see, we have just played the bites of three important leaders, VVIPs. We have had Prime Minister Narendra Modi yesterday saying that this is an accord for everybody. We had APSU President Pramod Boro telling the Mammoth gathering that this accord, nobody has anything to fear. This accord is for everybody who lives in the Bodoland Territorial Council. Then we had Hagrama Mohilari, the present BTC chief, in absolutely clear terms saying that this is an accord not only for the Bodos, but for everybody who are residents or inhabitants of the BTR region. But we also have seen the Kokrajhar MP Nobo Sarania expressing concerns and requesting the Prime Minister to take into account the interest of all the people who are not necessarily all Bodos and absolute non-Bodos also to take care of their interest. Now, how do you read the days ahead? Are there concerns? So what according to you are the major concerns and what is the road ahead now?
Well, I would be very straight in speaking this. I won't absurdly deny the apprehensions of the non-Bodo communities or other communities rather than the Bodo people who are living in this Bodoland territorial region or the erstwhile Bodoland Territorial Council since ages. As per our view, as per the view of the Bodo civil society and the socio-political think tanks as well, we would like to rather comment that whenever we would like to comment or quote on the issues of the protection of Bodo people, there is an apprehension that the other sections of the society, that means the non-Bodo people, get apprehensive. There is nothing to get apprehensive because the accord, which is indeed a historic third Bodo peace accord as termed by the Honorable PM Narendra Modi ji.
Right.
In that regard, we would like to say that this will not just enrich the Bodo identity or enrich the constitutional protection and safeguard towards the Bodo communities as well. If we say that it's a region, that means it's a land mass, it's a structure of land. So first of all, I would like to comment on the land rights of the non-Bodo people as well.
Okay.
See, still now, the Bodoland Territorial Council or the forthcoming Bodoland Territorial Region is going to follow the guidelines or follow the rules and laws as per the Assam Land Revenue and Regulation Act 1886, which was subsequently been amended in the year 1947. And especially the Bodoland Territorial Region comprises the tribal belts and blocks as well, including other landmarks which doesn't fall under the tribal belt block. So there is nothing to be apprehensive because there is not going to be any other laws.
That is what you are saying. But let me remind you, Prithviraj, before coming to my other panelists to make their opening remarks, very quickly, Prithviraj, in 2003, when the BLT Accord was signed, that time there was an organization called the SJSS, Sanmilito Janagostyo Sangram Samiti, which was a conglomeration of 18 non-Bodo groups. Even on that occasion, these SJSS said that non-Bodos were not consulted. Now why are people talking about this? Of course, we have to take into account the fact that starting from Hagrama Mohilari to Pramod Boro to none other than the Prime Minister himself, everybody has made it clear, categorically stated that interest of non-Bodos will definitely be taken into account. There is no need to worry. But the fact remains that in 2003 also, the non-Bodos have raised these concerns.
Yes, I would like to retaliate in this regard. I would like to rather say that the non-Bodos who are being, non-Bodo organizations indeed, who are being so skeptical regarding this, they are screaming in a loud tone that non-Bodos are not being discussed regarding this issue before the signing of this accord. But I would like to say that the accord which is being signed in presence of the Assam government and in presence of the central government as well, in presence of the Union Home Minister, that accord is not such a thing that which is going to curtail. Even it is in every letter and spirit, it is transparently available with everybody's hands nowadays. There is nothing to discuss with any other organizations before making a memorandum of settlement with the insurgent groups. It's rather the insurgent groups who had to negotiate with the government of India. And definitely, others' concerns were also kept in mind. If the government would not have kept the others' concerns, definitely there would not have been any provision or there would not have been any question of mentioning various cultural heritages preservation, mentioning various provisions for the upliftment of the Gorkhas, upliftment of the Kozrajbungsi culture, upliftment of the Assamese culture as well through various schemes. Definitely government has kept that in mind.
Yeah, we will take the discussions forward. Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta, in simple terms, let us hope for the best. I am not being skeptical at all about the Bodo Accord. I hope that Bodo Accord will succeed. But, the concerns are concerns. We need to discuss these concerns so that, right at the beginning, so that even if there is some apprehension, it is cleared through discussions like this. But Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta, my question is, what are the key challenges now, according to you, as far as the implementation of the Bodo Accord is concerned?
Let me put it in perspective. The challenges in the Bodo Territorial Council, now for that matter, Bodo Territorial Region, will come not from the non-Bodos. It will primarily come from the Bodos themselves. If you look back, 2003, when the agreement was signed, all Bodo Students' Union were part of it, was part of it. Rabiram Rajari, the then president of APSU, resigned to become the president of newly formed BPPF. In other words, in the very beginning, there was a consensus among the Bodo community, but that consensus gradually had broken down and more challenges come from within than from outside. This time we have seen a lot of positive developments, NDFB, BLT, APSU and UPPL. UG Brahma coming together, and yesterday I saw UG Brahma, Sarbananda Sonowal and Hagrama Mohilari sitting in the front. This is a very, very significant development. Now, if the Bodos are in a position to maintain this solidarity among themselves and the challenges do not come from within, then for political polarization, the outsiders will be targeted less. Therefore, hope lies in being the community in consensus.
Okay, consensus in the community, that is the key. Now, Mr. Sunil Nath, you are a close observer of the peace processes in the entire northeastern region. You have been a part of it earlier. Now you have seen many accords being signed. In Assam itself, this is about 4 to 5. This is about a 4th or the 5th major accord with insurgent groups. If we take into account the BLT accord, then you see the DHD accord, the UPDS accord, and so on and so forth. And now the second Bodo Accord after 2003. Now the question is, Mr. Sunil Nath, if I may ask you the same question, what according to you is the biggest challenge? Now, this apprehension among the non-Bodos, our panelist from Kokrajhar, Mr. Prithviraj Narayan, he has said that, these are unfounded and these are organizations which are screaming from rooftops, but the concerns are unfounded. Now, what according to you will be the most tricky thing as far as the implementation of this present Bodo Accord?
Well, you see, I absolutely agree with Professor Dotto. Whatever he has said, I'm a bit baffled because the accord that has been signed recently, actually it doesn't give too much to the Bodo insurgents. If they can sustain their solidarity, if they can present a unified front politically, then they have to gain a lot, because they would be able to administer their region more profoundly, since more departments have been given. It's very subtle. The accord is very subtle in the sense that actually the BTAD, the administration, whatever you call it, BTR or whatever, the administration has been strengthened tremendously. But the only thing is that if the Bodo leaders fall apart between themselves, then the whole benefit that is coming to them might get splintered.
All right. So everyone is talking about the need for an unified face. Now, Arunav, what has been the experience in the past? Let us not go into the 1993 Accord, because that was almost a non-starter, because the boundary was not decided, Bodoland Autonomous Council Accord in 1993, so it became a non-starter. Let's talk from 2003 onwards. Now, 2003 an accord was signed, but these people, NDFB and others, were left out of that accord. So today we have a different accord. But if from 2003 onwards, we have seen groups who were not very comfortable with the accord. They were in public domain talking about the accord. For example, even the All Bodo Students Union were not happy. They are saying that, we want a separate Bodoland state. NDFB, all the groups, they were asking for a separate state. Even, to compete in view of the competition that was going on, even the ruling BPF started demanding a separate Bodo state because that was necessary for their survival. Now, can we really say that Cartains have come down on the demand for a separate Bodoland state forever? Because today, the BPF is not saying that. Everyone else may be saying that, but not the BPF. In fact, Hagrama Mohilari just 2 days before signing up the accord said that it was a sad, unfortunate that APSU was giving up the demand for a separate homeland forever. Yes. How do you see the turn of events?
No, if you see, even the clauses of the 2003 accord has not been completely fulfilled. Even till last year, the Hagrama Mohilari was going to Delhi for negotiation with the MHF for the implementation of the clauses of the 2003 accord. If you see, the ST Hills tag that this accord talks about giving to Bodos living in Karbi Anglong and Dima Hasao, that was even in the 2003 accord itself, which has not been implemented even after 17 years since the signing of 2003 accord. It is again a part of this current accord as well. So if you see, even some clauses of that accord has not yet been fulfilled. Now here again, I would also like to put out certain statistics. We have Prithviraj here, who has been part of the negotiations, so he will also know about this, and he may correct me if I am wrong. Now, we have 40 seats currently in the BTC, out of which 30 are reserved for the scheduled tribes, 5 are for non-tribals and 5 are open. And it is understood that this current accord will not tamper with the existing reservations. So if you go by that, out of the next 60 seats, which the BTR is going to have, 45 will be reserved for the scheduled tribes, rest 15 will be divided between the non-tribals and the open seats. So we can say that only 8 seats will be reserved for the non-tribals. Now 8 out of 60. I think this is one of the apprehensions what Navasarani was talking about.
Okay, let me come in here. I'm coming to you, Prithviraj. You are saying that if we go into the earlier arithmetic, when the total number of seats was 40, how many 30. Seats? 30 was reserved for the Bodos, and the rest 10 seats were reserved. 5 were for non-tribals and 5 were open. Yes. So 10 were open seats, if we can say, if we take into account. Now it could be 15. now there are 6 nominated members. So
apart from
there will be 6 nominated members. So we can say that there will be at least 20 seats where everybody can contest actually. So technically speaking, 6 will be nominated where 2 eminent persons, 2 from women and 2 from unrepresented communities. So those are 6 plus 15. So that is a different issue. I'm not going to bother Prithviraj with that. That is, I've said that only for the record. Now, Prithviraj, you know, according to you, now is the time for implementation of the accord. As Aruna was saying, 2000 accord also some of the clauses were not implemented, like scheduled tribe hill status to Bodos living in Karbi Anglong and other places. So even this has featured in this accord as well. But now the main question is, the Bodoland People's Front is on one side, superficially viewing, and the other groups are on the other one side. Now, do you think it will be a clash between, everybody is talking about a united face, but do you think that will come about? Do you think BPF versus the rest will be the battle in Bodoland from now on?
Well, in this regard, there are two subjects we need to give our concern. First is the implementation of the accord.
Right.
One learned panelist in this show accompanying us has already told that there are many clauses of the BTC Accord or the second Bodo Accord of 2003 which are not yet implemented. But keeping in that in concern, and keeping in view of the speedy implementation of the every letter and spirit and clauses of the accord, there is a provision in the third very recent Bodo Accord of 2020 that a committee will be headed by the MHA, where the member would be there from the council and the state government as well, and they will sit every 6 months to monitor the implementation of the clauses. And I think that this will be a very positive thing, because this is being recorded and this is clearly and very vividly mentioned in the BTR record as well.
Okay, Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta, the question I was asking Prithviraj, where he of course very rightly laid emphasis on the implementation of the record. He pointed out that, you know, the committee will be formed by the Ministry of Home Affairs to monitor and so on and so forth. But my question to you is more political in nature, Akhil Ranjan Datta. Now, given the scheme of things, in the present scheme of things, will it be a Bodoland People's Front headed by Hagrama Mohilari versus the rest? Because all the 4 NDFB factions, APSU and the UPPL headed by UZ Brahma on one side and the BPF on the other, will it be a clash between these 2 major forces now in the Bodo heartland?
That was the point I was raising. But we have to remember that for past 2 parliamentary elections, it has been a lesson for the Bodus. You remember the Bodo, parliamentary constituency was created in the early part of 1960s. Till 2014 elections, it was owned by a Bodo candidate. In 2014 and 2019, a non-Bodo candidate has been elected to the parliament. And this has been a learning experience for them. In other words, in the whole constituency, they have been realizing that the dominance of the Bodus are in decline. Probably that has helped all factions to come together. But despite that fact, I have an apprehension that BPF versus APSU and UPPL will not go together. That will not be that easy. Because they have different in even orientation.
But
the BPF
therefore
has a kind of radical orientation.
Therefore, my hypothesis, it will be the political battle from now. See, accord implementation is the most important priority. That is one thing. But political survival is another. So therefore, my hypothesis, the political fight will be between the BPF on one side and everybody else on the other. You agree to a great extent to that?
And UPPL.
Yes, they are all together. They are all together. You agree?
And NDFB factions will get divided.
Okay, that's a very interesting point. Prithviraj, your comments. Do you agree to this? Do you agree to this bracketing? Do you agree to this analysis?
I partially agree to this bracketing, but I would need just a minute to explain the real picture,
Yes.
what we see from this region and staying in this region. See, when the BAC was formed in the year 1993, then interim government was formed. When BTC was formed, in consequence of the second Bodo Accord of 2003, one more interim government was given for the time being. But this time, there is no provision for interim government in the memorandum of settlement. So definitely, since everybody in democracy are political being and have different opinions as many men, many minds, definitely there will be clash, political clash. But we should measure as to how this political clash will create a political stability or political instability in the region. For that, there is a middle way solution. That day, even my brother Thulunga Basmatari, Executive Director of Northeast Heritage Foundation, has spoken out very clearly. Now the thing is, it's up to the BPF now. It's up to the BPF now. If BPF keeps it in concern that we need to give equal value and equal amount of respect by providing equal amount of seats distributed among the accordees, especially the Dhiren Boro faction group, especially the B. Saurai Gora-led NDFB faction, and as well as the Ranjan Raimari faction as well. But I am not that much optimistic that Govinda Basmatari's faction, which we call as NDFB Progressive, led by Govinda Basmatari and Sanjarang as its General Secretary, will join with the BPF. But I think that giving equal amount of share and doing such seat sharing and will definitely keep intact the BPF and other NDFB or the accordees.
All right. Akhil, you wanted to say something. Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta. I'm coming to you, Sunil Nath.
Yeah, I'm not that concerned about the NDFB factions. NDFB factions will be managed. Means they might be in a, the BPF might be in a position to persuade them. But my concern is about APSU and UPPL. They will not. My perception is that they will not be merging with BPF, and probably there will be a political tussle between APSU plus UPPL and BPF.
Okay, now Sunil Nath, there are 4 NDFB factions and there are 2 major political parties and a student group, that is APSU, okay? These are the big players. 4 NDFB factions, 2 major political parties. One is the ruling party, that is the Bodoland People's Front. The other is the party waiting in the wings, United People's Party Liberal, headed by UZ Brahma. These are the 2 political parties. There is this APSU and the 4 NDFB factions. Now, in the political battle, the 4 NDFB factions, some of these factions or individual members of these factions may be with the BPF. Some, who knows, some of these faction leaders will be with the BPPL. As Govinda Basmatari was on this program 2-3 days back, couple of days ago, immediately after the accord, he said that there is no need to form a political party because he had very clearly told me on my show that there is no need to form a new political party because we already have a political party, UPPL, United People's Party Liberal, headed by UZ Brahma, which supported us during our entire struggle. So, do you think the turf war will be between BPF on one side, as Akhil Ranjan Datta said, UPPL on the other, and APSU will also play a key role, whether some of the APSU leaders join any of the existing parties or they may form a new political party of their own?
Well, to be very frank, I am not very privy to the political going-ons between these factions. So I don't know who would end up where. But the thing is that, since in the BTR area, the non-Bodo forces led by Navahornia and Brother Mahanto, they appear to be quite unified. And if the Bodos fail to put up a unified front, if there are factions and rival groups fighting each other, I think they would only be benefiting the non-Bodo groups led by Navahornia and others. So my appeal would be to my Bodo brothers to stand united and sort out the nitpicking between yourselves, do some homework, do some give and take, but remain united. Otherwise, you have been celebrating Victory Day. Don't pass on the victory to somebody who is
Okay,
Who doesn't like a victory?
But in a democracy, we don't know. Everybody has the right to contest. It is up to the people to select who they like. So let's be very clear about that. Where whatever you like or I like is immaterial. At the end of the day, it is the battle of the ballot in the boxes. Whoever want to support or elects someone as your representative, whether it is to the Bodo Council, whether it is to the State Assembly, whether it is to the Parliament, it is up to the choice of the people. At the end of the day, people are king. I will go for a very short break. Don't go away. I'll be right back. And this very interesting discussion on the accord and after. Welcome back. Straight to Kokrajhar. Prithviraj, you see the accord was signed. Now in this particular accord, as you have very rightly pointed out, there is no provision for an interim government, interim council, unlike the 2003 accord, or for that matter, the 1993 one. Now, if there is no interim government, the BPF will definitely have an edge. For a couple of months, till the new elections, the BPF will have an edge. Now that means, do you think the BPF, what about the implementation? Is it going to take a back seat? Who is going to take the credit for the signing of the accord? How are things going to pan out? Because BPF will definitely have an edge. It is going to the elections as the ruling party.
Well, how much BPF takes the credit or how much other organization takes the credit, that's not a matter anymore, because each and every Bodo people especially whose demand have been settled, they definitely think that it's the credit of the Bodo people as well as all of its organizations which are comprehensively being settled by signing of this accord in presence of all the factions of the NDFB and EPSU as well. But politically, coming to your prospect, I would like to clearly and very boldly say it that definitely BPF is a ruling party here, and BPF has lots of resource along with them as of now, and BPF is having all sorts of power and structure to have an edge over every political parties. But now the concern is as to how the other factions, other organizations, including all the factions of NDFB and EPSU, will be unified and united together to have the political forefront. Unless and until EPSU and all the NDFB groups unite together, it is impossible, I am telling you, it will be impossible to counter BPF and they definitely rule the next DTR region
I think that is,
by themselves.
That is a very clear statement, Dr. Akhilanjan Datta. I think that most of us thinks like that, because there cannot be, if they have to now counter, some of the players, some of the signatories to this accord have very categorically said that people want a change. That means they are basically saying that there will be a political fight with the BPF, which is not surprising, because in any democracy there will be a fight. But the question is, as you have said, as Sunil Natha said, as Prithviraj is now saying, I think it will be extremely important to challenge within the signatories to the new Bodo Accord. That means the four factions of the NDFB and the All Bodo Students Union is to put up a unified and united fight. But so will that be easy? Will it be difficult? What is your reading?
Yeah, I do agree what Prithviraj has said, but to your first question, BPF definitely is in the interim government, because this is a transition phase, and in the transition phase BPF is in power. Therefore it is we can consider it to be the interim government. This is one. Secondly, coming to your question, I think it will not be that easy both for APSU and UPPL to organize themselves as a credible political force, because we have seen in the past elections, past council elections, they were fighting, but their success rate was not that good. But compared to them, even AIUDF did better in the last council election. In other words, because BPF is in a ruling position, and gradually, if you read the language of Hagrama Mohilari, the language is changing. He has always been talking in terms of inclusiveness now. In other words, he has also been trying, through the resources in its hand, through the resources in the hands of because he is in the government, resources in the hands, he has also been trying to please or to accommodate the non-Bodo voices.
Prithviraj and everyone in the panel, you know, yesterday, among everyone, I mean, you know, only Hagrama Mohilari gave a totally political speech. He specifically named the other organizations, saying so-and-so community has nothing to fear, so-and-so community has nothing to fear. In the last parting sentence, he said in 2021 in Assam, BJP will win, and in the Bodo Council, BPF will win. It is no two words. So that is how he ended his speech. That means he has already challenged, he has already thrown the gauntlet. He has already thrown the gauntlet at the, you know, other political rivals. So he is well prepared. Now, I'll come back to you, Arnav. Arnav, you know, whichever accord has been signed, and wherever there was no provision of an interim government, the accord signatory has not done well. Take the case of DHD. There was no provision of an interim government, and in that election, the DHD drew a blank. There was absolutely no one won. Whether it was Dilip Nunisa, whether it was the other group, nobody won. Now, same is the case with UPDS. UPDS today, their leaders have joined this party and that party. That's a different issue. But there was no homogeneous force which emerged out of the UPDS accord. So do you think whenever there is no interim government, I think those parties have not succeeded. Even in 1986, which was the first major accord in the Northeast, Lal Denga was installed as the chief minister of the interim government. Lalthan Haula had to make way. That's why I'm talking about the Mizo Accord in 1986 or not.
Now, here also, if you see, now the term of this current council is expiring after a few months in April. So the elections are approaching. So there is very less time to form a new political party and organize an election campaign. So the road ahead for these NDFB factions and the about leaders of the APSU is to join either the BPF or the PPL, because these two are the major Bodo parties which are in the fray. So that's what I was saying. Without being a part of a political party, if they contest as an independent, there is very less chance, which happened to the DSD and UPDS leaders.
In Karbi Anglong and MCLs. Now, Prithviraj, but there is something, we also know that there is something called a wave, there is something called euphoria. Elections are not necessarily won by organizational structures. But at this point in time, Akhil Ranjan, I need your reaction after this. You know, there is something called a wave and a euphoria. Prithviraj, will this euphoria be able to propel and push the new political forces into the center stage of political power in Bodoland territorial region?
Being a royal descendant, actually I have very less tendency to be zigzag speaking or diplomatic. I do prefer to talk very straight, and I will talk very bitter in this way. Bitter and straight. It might be bitter to somebody. If APSU, along with all the NDFB factions, even get united together, it will be quite a challenging task to counter the BPF in only one case. It should be like that. When we talk about APSU, when we talk about the NDFB, there is an usual apprehension of the non-Bodo people that we cannot vote in favor of them. So it should be in such a way, amicable way, that all the NDFB come in such a front, as well as the APSU leaders and the key signatories come in such a front, where they diversify their identity to some extent and involve non-Bodo key figures along with them. Then it would be definitely an interesting game to witness, and such scenario is not that much tough if the APSU entities or the NDFB leaders are ready to diversify their identity a little bit and go ahead with some of the key figures of the non-Bodo sections as well, and keeping them in the same dais, it would be very easy to fight.
Very important and significant comment. Akhil Ranjan Datta, the Bodo Royal Prithviraj has made a very pragmatic and bold statement. I would say this is a bold and blunt statement. This is the reality. Now, if you analyze the speeches of Pramod Boro yesterday, the APSU president, he has been very flexible. He has made time and again said, this is an accord not only for the Bodos, but for each and every community. Nobody has any reason to fear. I think they are already working on these lines. If you listen to his main rival, that is Hagrama Mohilari, he has also said the same thing. I think all the Bodo signatories as well as the others have realized the fact that now for the first time the monopoly of the Bodoland People's Front is over. There will be a tough competition, there will be a keen contest, and the non-Bodo population who are the voters will play a key deciding factor. Do you agree?
Yes, I do agree. But remember, if you look at the past council election, there was a change. You know, from the past council election, we have witnessed changes in the approach of the BPF itself. And I mentioned it. You know, they have started or tried a level based to project themselves as inclusive. They were not very, very confined only to the Bodos. And that has also helped to bring about relative peace to BTAD. If you look at for last 4 or 5 years, there have been relative peace.
Yes.
And therefore, BPF is in an advantageous position.
Absolutely.
And if now APSU or for that matter UPPL, they try to challenge BPF, they have to be more imaginative, they have to be more strategic. And they have to put up their organization in a very, very credible manner.
Okay. Now, Sunil Nath, elections in a highly militarized area, of course, today that area, the Bodo heartland, is no longer militarized. I have no hesitation in saying this because all the 4 remaining insurgent groups have joined the mainstream. They have laid down arms. Now, today it is demilitarized. But during every other election in the past, the shadow of the gun was lurking around in the Bodo heartland. You have to admit that fact. Now, this time, maybe for the first time, the shadow of the gun may not be there in the Bodo heartland during the elections. That will have its own impact, isn't it? People will be perhaps more freer to vote.
Definitely. This time, it is quite certain that it will be a very democratic, but closely fought, perhaps bitterly fought, but it will be a democratic election. And again, this point is very significant. Both like BPF has been reaching out to the non-Bodos from quite a long time back.
Yes.
And now Pramod Boro and others are also doing that. If it happens that we get to main camps in BT area, both led by Bodos and fighting each other, I don't know what will happen, but I would rather like that it should not happen. But yes, that both factions are reaching out to the non-Bodos is a very
good thing, positive.
Yes.
Now, what kind of an impact is going to have on the elections? Because Arnav, the shadow of the gun, that is very important. Yes. This is one area which was one of the most militarized zones, not just in India but in South Asia. Now it has been demilitarized. Now the issue is, therefore, if we have an election where the people are in a position to vote without fear, without the threat of the gun, I think it might come up with very, very drastic results.
Yeah, of course. You see, whenever there is fear, people, at least there is impact on the electoral percentage, people coming out to vote. And
the verdict as well.
The verdict as well. Now, when people shun guns, they come out, join the mainstream, come into a political foray, the perception changes among the voters. They see that the people are coming for peace. And then this always has an impact on the voters, and this will lead to a change in the fortunes of the parties who come newly to the elections, to the candidates who are new to the electoral process as well. There will be an anti-incumbency wave, of course.
Okay, now Prithviraj, how will it impact, according to you? Yes. Don't you think this is also a major factor in the forthcoming elections in the Bodo Council? You know, that people will be able to vote without the fear of the gun. For the first time in many years.
Yes.
So definitely it will have a positive impact, and therefore it will be a very brisk and keen fight this time. It will be really a contest, not somebody threatening, in the dead of the night, unless you vote this candidate, we are going to bump you off. I think that is not going to happen, at least this time.
Yeah, well, in this regard, I would like to say very few lines. That this time there are no shadow of guns, as you said, but I think that this time the fight would be rather more incumbency versus the anti-incumbency as well. Because if we put on a thorough study regarding the various schemes and implementation of the schemes in the Bodoland Territorial Council region, there are lots of allegations. Then there have been mishap, there have been huge misappropriation of public funds from the public exchequer. And in this regard, we think that the people of Bodoland will now get a second option, a time to think that whether to vote for the new change or whether to vote for the existing BPF despite of various allegations of public fund misappropriation. So I think that this time, since there is no shadow of guns or there is nothing like military forces behind the curtain acting for a particular political party, this time people would really taste the essence of democracy in this region.
Absolutely, Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta, how important is that going to be? No guns. At least publicly.
Yeah, I think that will be there. But we need to understand that the role played by BJP will be very, very critical. In the anti-car atmosphere in the state, BJP will try its level best to keep the Bodus united. That is a strategy that they will be, trying their level best so that they can get benefit in the ensuing 2021 assembly elections, wherever there are sizable voters on.
But don't forget, Akhil Ranjan Datta,
Bodus throughout the state.
Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta, also you cannot forget the fact that it is only the BPF which is an ally of the BJP, not the other political party, at least so far.
No, but look at this time. Therefore, the central government has tried their level best to bring, Pramod Boru and Hagrama Mohilari together, UG Brahmo and Hagrama Mohilari and, that is...
everybody together,
Everybody together. Hagrama Mohilari, UG Brahmo together. It's not a very easy task. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Sunil Nath, your concluding remarks. I'm running short of time.
Hussain,
concluding remarks.
Just half a minute.
Yes. Your concluding remarks, Prithviraj. Your final comments.
Yeah, final comment through this show. I would like to welcome all the signatories as well, because the people's concern is about the signatories who have made the accord. It's not about the political parties, how they have done their drama under behind the curtain. And secondly, I would like to comment that it's the BJP or any national party who are not just concerned over the BPF as well. They are in good friendship with BPF only because it helps to gain the Bodo votes outside the BTR region. So definitely, if the other fronts make assured that they can be united and through them the national party or the ruling party of the state can be benefited by getting the votes of Bodos from outside the Bodoland territorial region, definitely the BJP will gear up the other front also.
Okay, so options are open. Sunil Nath, your final comments.
Yes.
Well, yes, I do agree with him in the sense that, like the BPF has done in the past, it has gone to the winning side. With the Congress, with the BJP.
Yeah.
The BJP would
13 years they were with the Congress.
Yes, BJP would also do the same. Those who can get the maximum Bodo votes. So
it will be an interesting turn of events. I'm absolutely running short of time. There's a very interesting point made by Sunil Nath. Whoever is winner will be with the ruling dispensation. Yes, Arnav, final comment.
I'll just say that there will be a new political battle now in the Bodoland area, but whoever wins has to work wholeheartedly for the implementation of the clause of the new BTR accord.
Absolutely. Akhil Ranjan Datta, 10 seconds.
Yes, I do expect that the Bodus, all organizations will remain united. They might fight politically and they should, try their level best to maintain the peace and harmony, not only among the Bodus, but Bodus and non-Bodus together.
Absolutely, this is what we all want. There should be peace, progress, development and harmony in the state of Assam. And this accord is, yes, there is euphoria in the Bodo heartland, but there is euphoria in other parts of Assam as well, because the state has gone several steps ahead on the road to peace. We are now waiting as to what happens with the talks with the United Liberation Front of Assam Independent, headed by Mr. Paresh Barua, and hope that things take positive directions in that regard as well. And I thank all my panelists for participating in this very engaging discussion, and the viewers for watching the program, and we wish well for the new Bodo Accord. With this, I end this edition of Northeast Tonight. Good night and goodbye.
Northeast Tonight, brought to you by Oil India Limited, conquering newer horizons.